Working on a weekend, the Firebirds are back at it this evening for the second of 3 games over the span of 3 days. It's the Sioux Greyhounds in town, a team Flint will become very familiar with over the next few weeks. Off a shutout loss last night, the Birds are looking to get the offense back in gear tonight and pick up a pair of points. So let's dive in for the Firebirds and the Greyhounds. Flint Firebirds hockey is on the air. And it starts right now. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the broadcast booth for tonight's pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. Here to tell you the story, I'm Brian Gardner. We got the Firebirds and the Sioux Greyhounds. Flint coming into today's game, which is the second of a 3-3. Birds played yesterday against the Windsor Spitfires, today against the Sioux Greyhounds, tomorrow on the road against the very same Windsor Spitfires. So it's game number 2 of this 3-3, and Flint's off a disappointing one. A 3-0 loss at the hands of those Windsor Spitfires in this building yesterday. It was a game that you look back at and maybe you get a little bit frustrated, but on the bright side of things for the Firebirds, and if you're a Firebirds fan, you're thinking, hey, great, you get that out of the way early. It's much better to start the weekend that way than to close the weekend that way, because you know what they say, great thing about sports, there's always another game. That other game has arrived 24 hours later. With the Sioux Greyhounds in town, also in the midst of a road swing and a really kind of test your endurance kind of stretch, the Sioux has come down here across the Mackinac Bridge to the Mitten. They went all the way down to Windsor on Wednesday, played against London yesterday. Here they are in Flint for their third game in the span of 4 days. So the Greyhounds, you wonder how much they have left in the tank. The Firebirds, you wonder how much they will come out flying, trying to atone for what was not exactly a game they would be thrilled with yesterday. So it's the Birds and the Greyhounds, these two teams meeting up for the second of 6 meetings this season, and the second time in the span of just over 2 weeks. And before we talk about this matchup, let's look at what happened each of the last time these two teams were on the ice. We began yesterday in Flint. Firebirds, we mentioned, a little snake bitten early on. Looked like they might have something going with Nolan Collins, little backhander. Joey Costanzo made that stop and a whole lot more. We jump ahead to the second. This is when you knew it might not be Flint's night. Connor Walton, the shot. Oh boy, Nathan Day, it's like a knuckleball. It took a little dip and dive and floated on him. Who's throwing that thing out of the bullpen? Is that Tim Wakefield? Barely gets by Nathan Day. Oh man, you know he wasn't exactly pleased with that one. Birds trail 1-0. Then Ryan Abraham going to the net. Oh, a mass of bodies in front. They're colliding with each other. Clattenburg and Thibodeau made it hard for Day to get back over, and it's poked in by Davis of the Spitfires, and the score is 2-0. To the third, Firebirds on the attack. Chris Thibodeau, oh baby, had a great chance. Another save by Joey Costanzo though. And on the other end of things, Ryan Abraham making it happen with a wrist shot. Top shelf, he scores. Abraham puts the Spits on top 3-0. That is how the game would end. A shutout for Joey Costanzo, 3-0. Windsor wins it here in Flint. For the Greyhounds, they're on the road in London as the Knights are starting to get themselves rolling. First period, it's going to be Landon Sim on the one-timer. Really nice feed coming here from William Nickel down low. Touch it right back to the slot. Tick-tack goal. 1-0 Knights. Later on, the Knights force a turnover in the attacking zone. The youngster Blake Arrowsmith with an arrow. Top shelf on the glove side past Landon Miller. And it's 2-0 London. The Greyhounds going to answer. Marco Mignosa getting in on the fun. Oh, baby, just waited him out. Shoving it on the short side. Nicely done by Mignosa off the rebound. And it's now a 2-1 hockey game. Later in the second, though, here the Knights once again loose in front. Oh, has he covered it? Apparently not quite. Ryder Bolton doing the dirty work in front of the net. Just keep hacking away at it. Eventually, you're going to get something through. That's what London did as they take a 3-1 lead. Third period now, Justin Cloutier going to get in on the action for the Greyhounds. Do it yourself, young man. Skating into the slot. Cloutier strong on the puck, just holding off Sam Dickinson, the highly touted prospect, as it's Cloutier to beat him, and it's 3-2. But London had something rolling yesterday. Jacob Julian is dangerous. Loose in the slot. You cannot lose sight of him. Quick trigger. He scores 4-2 London. Greyhounds trying to get back in it still later in the third, though. This time Christopher Brown snaps one home, brings his team within one from the right circle. As that thing gets through and it's 4-3, but late London holds on as the Greyhounds were pressuring, but Sioux comes up a little bit short as they lose it by a final of 4-3. A team comparison, now the Sioux, despite the fact that they've got a winning record, they've got a negative goal differential, -3. The Firebirds, even after they were blanked yesterday, you know it's a really good defensive team. When the Flint Firebirds have struggled this season, it's been that they're not putting the puck in the net. So the Firebirds blanked yesterday for the first time this season. Flint trying to get that goals for column up. The penalty kills improving. The power play has been struggling for both of these two teams. Now the standings coming into today's action, it was the Greyhounds in a tie for 4th, the Firebirds sitting in 8th. Again, it's really tight from 4 through 8, separating only by 3 points. So the Birds could draw themselves even with the Saginaw Spirit, depending on what else happens here today, with a couple of points. Owen Sound and Guelph on the outside looking in terms of the top 8 and the would-be playoff picture here in the Ontario Hockey League's Western Conference. Firebirds and the Sioux Greyhounds, it's going to be a spectacular atmosphere here today. The Birds were giving away a free replica jersey courtesy of Dort Financial Credit Union, and the lobby was packed for a solid hour before the gates opened. Everybody's getting themselves some concession, beer, popcorn, hot dog, whatever floats your boat. Why not settle in and watch the Firebirds with your brand new Dort Financial Credit Union inspired jersey, these Firebirds replica jerseys, lots of blue in the stands here this evening. So it's the Birds and the Sioux Greyhounds as we continue here on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. When we come back, we'll get a look at our players to watch, our lineup for both teams, who's out, who's in, maybe some different starting goaltenders. Lots to talk about when we come back after this. Birds, Greyhounds. This is the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive on FHN.
All right, Chevy team, huddle up, huddle up. We really got to bring it this month. Banks, what do you got?
Lease a new Chevy Silverado for as low as $298 a month.
Go Shea!
Theo, what do you got?
Lease the all-new 2020-25 Chevy Equinox for as low as $299 a month.
Go Shea!
Connie, what do you got?
Lease a Chevy Blazer for as low as $289 a month.
Go Shea!
Let's get the best deal for our past, present, and future customers. What do we say? What do we chant?
Just Shea!
It's the Sioux Greyhounds and the Flint Firebirds here on this Saturday evening from the Dort Financial Center. What a lovely evening for hockey in Flint. Firebirds and the Greyhounds getting set to go to work here on this Saturday night. Let's take a look at our lineups for the Sioux Greyhounds to begin with the projected lineups. Now, the notable absence is Brady Martin, who had that A grade as given by NHL Central Scouting in their preliminary players to watch for the 2025 NHL draft, as the Greyhounds do look a little bit different from what they looked like when the Firebirds saw them just 15 days ago up in the Sioux. They're going with an unbalanced lineup of 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Let's get to our players to watch for the Sioux as we begin with Owen Allard, talking about how this team looks a little bit different than they did when last these two teams saw each other. Allard's a big reason why. Now, he had opened up this season in the American Hockey League with the Tucson Roadrunners, but he wasn't playing. He was recovering from a preseason injury suffered during training camp. A Utah Hockey Club draft pick, their AHL affiliate is the Tucson Roadrunners. Since he's come back, the overager has been spectacular. 4 points in 4 games played. Now, last season he had 18 and 26. He's their top line center. He's a difference maker, a veteran forward for this Greyhound squad who's in a bit of a reloading type of year. Moving to one of the young guys and one of their young guns. How about the Michigan kid, Travis Hayes? Travis Hayes, pretty soon he's going to shed that moniker of Gavin's little brother. Scored in the Firebirds' loss in the Sioux 2 weeks ago, but he's also been a little bit quiet as of late. On the season, 6 goals and 4 assists. He's +3. Now, in his rookie season last year, coming off of his second-round selection in the OHL Priority Selection, had 14 goals and 21 assists, and he got to play with his older brother, Gavin, when those two were teammates at the end of the season, following that trade up to the Sioux from the Firebirds for Gavin Hayes. And finally, we move to the blue line, and it's Andrew Gibson. Now, you might remember Gibson as a Red Wings prospect. He was originally drafted by Detroit, got traded, though, to the Nashville Predators in the offseason, a team that had coveted him, and you kind of see why. He's been signed to his NHL contract. He's been a steady Eddie guy on the blue line for this team, the big right shot D-man. He's a shutdown type of guy. He also scored the eventual game-winning goal in that 2-1 Greyhounds win over the Firebirds 15 days ago at GFL Memorial Gardens in downtown Sault Ste. Marie. So Gibson, always a guy to keep an eye on. For the Firebirds, we look at the lineup for Flint. Now, the notable absence for the Firebirds is Connor Clattenburg. He was given a 2-game suspension by the Ontario Hockey League earlier today after that head contact, the check to the head. He ended up getting a game misconduct for in the loss yesterday. So no Connor Clattenburg for the Firebirds. Birds also going with the unbalanced lineup of 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Xavier Tessier's in there for the Birds, and it's Noah Bender getting his first start between the pipes for Flint. Our players to watch, we'll start with Matthew Wang. Now, he's one of the guys who's been getting more opportunities this year. Starting to see him pop up on the power play from time to time. His second season as a Firebird, 5 points through 13 games played. He only had 11 points all season last year. An energy guy for the Birds, and especially in the absence of Clattenburg once again today, you imagine that Wang's going to be out there flying for Flint. Moving to the blue line, and Urban Padrekar has been a difference maker for the Birds. Now, it hasn't always shown up on the stat sheet, but he's one of these guys who's starting to look more comfortable out there the longer he plays as a Firebird. Now, the Slovenian-born import selection. He was the number 3 overall import selection last season for the Niagara Ice Dogs, but since coming over to the Firebirds in that trade in the offseason, you're starting to see why the Birds coveted him in that move. Now, he had an assist against Owen Sound last Saturday, a puck mover, and a guy who's fun to watch out there on the blue line. And why don't we go to a former Greyhound? I know he's still popular up there in the Sioux, Alex Kostov. 2 points in his last 5. Now, Kostov, he's really been creating chances. He's drawing penalties. He's making things happen, but he is still hunting his first goal. Alex Kostov has been a really good shorthanded guy, a really good penalty kill guy. He's an energy guy for the Firebirds as well. We'll see if he can break loose against the team that once was his team before he came over in that trade at the trade deadline along with Connor Clattenburg last season. So the Firebirds and the Sioux Greyhounds getting set to go to work here on this Saturday evening in Flint's going to be an electric atmosphere. We'll see if the Birds can engage this big crowd early in the first period. Hey, it's almost time for the starting lineup introductions and the national anthems. We'll have puck drop after that, so we're going to take our break. When we come back, we'll get you those starting lineup introductions, anthems, and puck drop. This has been the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. Birds, Greyhounds coming up next after this on FHN.
Hello? Are you there? The Shea Megalot is hosting their annual pre-owned lease pull-ahead. Are you upside down on your trade? Over on your miles? We'll buy your car.
Don't just turn your lease in.
We'll buy your car.
Is your current payment too high?
We'll buy your car.
Trapped in your lease?
We'll buy your car.
Not in the market for a car?
We'll still buy your car.
Are your service bills adding up?
We'll buy your car.
Bad credit?
We'll buy your car. Plus, the Shea Megalot has over 500 pre-owned and certified vehicles to choose from. Just Shea'n.